Hey guys, YouTube Borga here. Alright, and now, as I told you guys, there were like a couple of SummerSlam retro reviews I wanted to make, and yeah, I already made one for SummerSlam 1988, and yeah, and so now here I am with another retro SummerSlam review, and for this one, this is going to be a review for SummerSlam 1993. So, yeah, so when people really do talk about like some of the most like disappointing pay-per-views of all time, this is probably one that really does come up a lot in discussions because yeah, this pay-per-view was just like such a disappointment. Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, I really like looked at this as to be quite possibly the worst SummerSlam of all time. Like just this SummerSlam was just like such a massive disappointment. I mean, this was kind of like when the company was really like kind of like taking a transition because yeah, this was just like after like Hulk Hogan left and the company was really like starting to like head into a different direction, and it seemed like it took some time for the company to really uh, get into the groove of this new direction because this pay per view just this really was just like not a good pay per view at all, and it really was just like such a disappointment. I mean, yeah, this is along with like WrestleMania 9 because yeah, of course, like yeah, they were both obviously in 1993, and both were like really bad shows. Yeah, yeah, just yeah, this SummerSlam was just like really bad. I mean, just this show it was just like so disappointing. I mean, you had like the three main matches of the show, and they were just like such disappointments. And yeah, and of course, like this show, it also does have like that really stupid ending, which yeah, you all know like what happened at the show. Yeah, I'll get to that when I reach it in this review, but yeah, really, just this SummerSlam, it was just like so freaking disappointing. I mean, it's honestly like kind of sad, like how disappointing the show really is. Yeah, I mean, nothing about the show really does stand out, and plus, yeah, just in considering like the talent that you really had on the show, and just like the build up for some of these matches, especially like the three main ones, just they like just absolutely underachieved like hell, like just oh man, this show was just it was just so freaking bad. Like seriously, like you had two of the big matches on the show and a count out. Like similar to WrestleMania 9, how you had like three illegitimate finishes with a count out and two disqualifications. Here you had like two of the big matches on the show and a count out. Yeah, and plus you had another match which had just like a totally useless and stupid stipulation, which yeah, I'm sure all of you really do know what I am talking about. So yeah, just this show was just like such a mess, really. I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, the three main matches of the show all just sucked, and yeah, just and there's really nothing from the show that really does stand out. I mean, I guess maybe you do have like a couple of good matches on the show, but even then, like they're really not like that memorable matches, and just and the fact that like just the main match of the show just really failed to deliver big time. It really does just really impact the show a lot. So yeah, so it really is just like a very disappointing show. It's really not recommended, and yeah, and I really have like seen this as really to be the worst SummerSlam of all time. I mean, I know there are like some people that really do kind of like say like other SummerSlams are the worst. Like I've heard like a lot of people saying that like a 2007 was the worst SummerSlam, and I've heard like people saying like just like other SummerSlams are the worst. But yeah, I really think this one really does take the crown for the worst SummerSlam of all time, especially just like considering how disappointing it really was. So I really don't really I really don't really say like watch the show if you really do think like those other SummerSlams are really the worst ones. But all I can say is just when you look at the this card and you just like just see how disappointing the matches turned out, and that really does like impact the show a lot. And I really do think that that really does like give this the show the distinction of being like the worst SummerSlam of all time and definitely the most disappointing. So yeah, so really just such a disappointing show and not really recommended. All right. So okay, so let me just talk about card of the show. All right, so the show kicked off with Ted DiBiase versus Razor Ramon, and overall, this was an okay match. I mean, yeah, this was just like when Razor Ramon like started to turn face, and yeah, he really just like the fan reaction to him. It just like did a complete 180 because, yeah, as a heel, the fans just hated Razor Ramon, but yeah, when Razor Ramon became a face, they just loved him. Yeah, and overall, this match was okay. I mean, there wasn't really anything like too memorable about it, but it was like decent, a back and forth action between the two of them. Like Ted DiBiase attacked Razor Ramon before the match officially started, and then eventually Razor Ramon then started to make a comeback. And it just kind of like went a back and forth between the two of them, and then Ted DiBiase then exposed the steel in one of the turnbuckles, and he attempted to throw Razor Ramon into it, but Razor Ramon was able to um, fight it and rammed Ted DiBiase's head into the exposed turnbuckle, then hit a Razor's edge on Ted DiBiase to get the win. So yeah, so Razor Ramon ended up winning the match. So this match was okay, not really anything too memorable, but definitely not the worst thing on the show by any means. So yeah, it was an all right way to start off the show. So I would give this probably 2.5 stars. And then next up, then we had the tag team titles on the line, with the Steiner brothers defending against the Heavenly Bodies, which consisted of Jimmy Del Rey and Tom Pritchard. And this was a pretty good match right here. This was probably the match of the night. I don't know. It's probably a toss-up between this and another tag match that did accrue later in the night, which I'll talk about later on. Yeah, but yeah, this was a pretty good match right here. Of course, like this was in the Steiner brothers' home state of Michigan, so of course, like they got a great pop from the crowd, and even like their mother and their sister were like sitting in the front row at the show. Yeah, and overall, this was a pretty good match right here. I mean, yeah, once again, before the match officially started, the Heavenly Bodies attacked the Steiners, and then yeah, the Heavenly Bodies like just executed like a bunch of double team maneuvers onto Rick Steiner, and then eventually Scott got tagged into the match, and then Scott Steiner then started to gain the upper hand on them, but eventually the Heavenly Bodies regained the advantage, and then at one point, as like the referee was distracted, Jim Cornette, who was at ringside with the Heavenly Bodies, ended up nailing Scott Steiner in the throat with his tennis racket. Yeah. Yeah, and then eventually Rick Steiner ended up getting tagged back in, and after he hit several liners, several Steiner lines on the Heavenly Bodies, eventually Tom Pritchard then ended up nailing Rick Steiner with Jim Cornette's tennis racket while the referee was distracted again, and then at one point as Tom Pritchard held Rick Steiner for Jimmy Del Rey to hit a moonsault on. Rick Steiner ended up dodging it, and Tom Pritchard accidentally got hit. And then Scott Steiner then hit a Frankensteiner on Tom Pritchard, and then that allowed the Steiner brothers to pin and Tom Pritchard and get the win, and the Steiner brothers retained the tag team titles. So this was overall a pretty good match, probably the shining star of this event, considering just as how worse that this event really did get. So overall it was a pretty good match, probably match of the night. I guess it's a toss up between this and, like I said, another tag match that occurred later on. So I'd probably give that 3.25. And then next up, oh boy, this is where it gets really disappointing. Next up, then we got probably one of the biggest disappointments of all time. Next up, then, we had the Intercontinental Championship on the line, with Shawn Michaels defending against Mr. Perfect. And oh my goodness. Seriously. You would figure, a match between these two guys would be, just a classic. It would be like a 4-star, maybe even possibly a 5-star match. But no. This match was just absolutely disappointing. I mean, I don't like that the feud between Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect that year in 1993, it really kind of was kind of odd, because it just seemed start just totally out of nowhere after Shawn Michaels just randomly attacked Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania 9, and then all of a sudden they started feuding. And yeah, and of course, like there was the stuff that year with like Mr. Perfect costing a Shawn Michaels the Intercontinental title against Marty Jannetty on Raw, and yeah, then there was just like stuff between them during that year, and then I guess like we can look at this as kind of like the culmination of it with them finally like facing each other for the Intercontinental title. But oh my gosh, this match was just such a huge disappointment. For one thing, this match only lasted 11 minutes. Like, you kidding? I mean, you could have made this like a 15, 20-minute match between the two of them. And seriously, just the match was just like nothing happened in this match. I mean, there was nothing memorable about it at all. Like there weren't even like any like big maneuvers used in this match. And it really just seemed to get like pretty comical because whenever uh, Mr. Perfect would like hit a move on Shawn Michaels would just like oversell like it just became comical. And seriously, this match was just so disappointing. And like I said, like you figure a match between Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect would absolutely steal the show and be like an absolute classic. But this match just shows that like you can't judge a book by its cover. Like you can't judge a match based on simply who's in it. Like you actually have to base it on the actual in-ring action. And this match just match it absolutely bombed. It was just like such a disappointment. Like I said, not really anything memorable happened at all. There really weren't not any big moves in this match. Whenever like there was a point where a big move was attempted, it would just end up being countered and stuff. Yeah, and of course, like you had the Diesel at ringside with Shawn Michaels, and yeah, and then like a couple of points in this match, like Diesel tried to go after Perfect. Mr. Perfect was able to fight Diesel off, and then eventually, after like Mr. Perfect ended up hitting a perfect plex on Shawn Michaels, then Diesel then just pulled Mr. Perfect out of the ring, and then as a and then, as Mr. Perfect was attempting to fight off Diesel and Shawn Michaels, eventually, like the referee then just ended up like getting knocked down by Shawn Michaels, and that allowed Diesel to just attack Mr. Perfect and throw him into the steel steps. And then, yeah, Shawn Michaels was like able to get back in the ring, but Mr. Perfect wasn't. So Mr. Perfect ended up getting counted out. So Shawn Michaels wins this match by count out and retains the title. And just I don't understand, like, why are you having the face challenger being the one counted out? Like, what sense does that make? Like seriously, if you were gonna end this match in a count out, do it with like Shawn Michaels getting counted out, so he still retains. But yeah, it doesn't even make sense why you would have like a heel champion be the one that wins the match by a count out. I don't see the logic in that. Yeah. So yeah, an 11-minute match that ends in a count out, and plus yeah, and this match just was not anything to write home about. So yeah, this match was just like probably the biggest disappointment of the night. So yeah, it's just sad how bad that match disappointed. So yeah, so I would probably give that match like 2 stars. Yeah. And then next up after this, then we had IRS versus the 123 Kid, and this match just kind of seemed like kind of filler. I mean, this was just kind of there. I mean, it not really anything happened in this match. It just was kind of like back and forth between the two. It went on for like 5 minutes. I mean, yeah, this was still like when the 123 Kids victory over Razor Ramon on Raw that year was still like fresh in people's minds. So yeah, at the time, like this was like when the 123 Kid was kind of like still like turning into kind of like a bigger star in the company. And so yeah, and he was kind of like trying to do like some tactics in this match to really like win in the same style that he beat Razor Ramon on Raw that one time. Yeah, but yeah, this match was just kind of there. I mean, not really anything special happened here, and then it just ended like kind of abruptly, where it just out of nowhere, IRS just hit a write off on the 123 Kid and got the pin, so IRS won the match. Yeah, so yeah, this was just kind of there. I mean, not really anything happened here, so yeah, so I would probably give that like uh, two 2 stars. All right. Then next up, then we got probably what is probably like the big highlight of this event. Yeah, this is probably like the like probably like the most fun that did actually come out of the show. Yeah. Next up, then was supposed to be Bret Hart versus Jerry the King Lawler. Yeah, this was still like during the time that feud was going on. Yeah, but Yeah, but yeah, as Jerry Lawler came out, it showed that like he was like on crutches and he had like an ice pack on his knee. So yeah, so this was like something for like with Jerry Lawler being a heel, he was just like being a coward to try to get out of the match. So Jerry Lawler was just like trying to just come up with like a way to get out of the match. So yeah, he was just saying that he got hurt earlier on in that day in a car wreck, and due to that he couldn't compete. So then Jerry Lawler like just brought out a Doink the Clown as a fill-in opponent for him to go up against Bret Hart. So Bret Hart ended up wrestling a Doink the Clown here, and yeah, as far as like this, like Bret Hart facing Doink the Clown, I mean, I guess it was good. It was good enough, I guess. I mean, yeah, this was just like right before Doink the Clown ended up turning face. So yeah, so this was the end of like the heel Doink run, and yeah, and people do like overall do praise like the heel Doink stuff. Like people do say that that was like the better version of Doink than when he was a face. So yeah, so this was the end of the heel Doink run. Yeah, and yeah, this match overall was solid right here. Yeah, yeah, like heel Doink's like the guy that played Doink. He did actually could wrestle like he was actually like a pretty good wrestler, especially like during this time when he was a heel. Like he did actually have like some solid matches here. Yeah, yeah. It really was just kind of just like brawling between Bret and Doink with like Doink actually like using some submission holds. Like he did like a hold like Bret Hart's leg up in the air. Well, he did like pull it up to kind of put some strain on Bret Hart's leg and stuff, and even like using the rope for leverage. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and it was just like Bret like battling with Doink. There really wasn't much like story to this, seeing how like of course like the story was between Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler. So not really like any like story to this. It was just like Bret fighting like a replacement here. But then yeah, then after like a Doink ended up like missing a whoopee cushion attempt, then Bret Hart then eventually did end up getting the sharpshooter in on Doink. But then yeah, then it was like revealed. So Jerry Lawler revealed that like his whole uh, story with him getting hurt was just a ruse, and then he got into the ring and nailed Bret Hart with one of the crutches. So yeah, so the match was then like a disqualification was called. So yeah, Bret Hart won the match by disqualification. Yeah, and then then afterwards, then Jerry Lawler just like continued to attack Bret Hart. Or yeah, and then yeah, this was just like more stuff for really like Jerry Lawler continuing to just embarrass Bret Hart and everything with everything that went on between them since like King of the Ring a couple months earlier. Yeah, of course, like the stuff here was like a lot better than the stuff we saw between the two of them in 1995. Like the feud between them in 1993 was awesome. Yeah, with like the stuff with like Jerry Lawler like insulting Bret Hart's parents and like of course like attacking him at King of the Ring and all this other stuff that went on between them that year. Yeah, and this match with Doink was like overall, I guess it was good. Yeah, so I would give the match with Doink 3 stars, I guess. Yeah, but then afterwards, as Jerry Lawler was attempting to uh, uh, get walk away with Doink, then Jack Tunney then came out and then just forced Jerry Lawler to compete against Bret Hart. So yeah, so then we did get like the actual match between Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler. And yeah, and overall, like, I guess this overall was like what pretty much what people were expecting. It was basically just Bret Hart like just beating up Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler like getting in like a little bit of offense at points in the match. And it's like they were like attacking each other with like the crutches and like just trading punches and kicks, and then eventually like Bret Hart and then just like nailed Jerry Lawler with a pile driver, and then yeah, then he then got Jerry Lawler in the sharpshooter, and Jerry Lawler submitted. But then after the bell was called, like Bret Hart just kept the sharpshooter locked in, and it took a few minutes for Bret Hart to finally let go of the hold. Like there were a bunch of referees and officials in the ring trying to get Bret Hart off of Jerry Lawler. Even Owen and Bruce Hart, who were sitting front row, they even ended up getting into the ring as well, trying to get at Jerry Lawler. So yeah, and due to the fact that Bret Hart did not uh, release the hold, yeah, the referee eventually just like reversed the decision and awarded the match to Jerry Lawler by disqualification. So yeah, so overall, yeah, the stuff with Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler here, it did serve its purpose, I guess. I mean, I guess like there was like supposed to be like more of this stuff going on. Of course, like the match at Survivor Series with the Hart brothers against the Shawn Michaels and the Knights, that was originally supposed to be Jerry Lawler leading the Knights, but yeah, for like some reason, like Jerry Lawler ended up being replaced with Shawn Michaels in that match. So yeah, so I guess this just really did serve its purpose. Yeah, yeah. There really was like no like real big like conclusion to this storyline with Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler, which I guess is why like it did pick up in 1995 again. So yeah, so it does kind of suck that like it just like their feud just like abruptly stopped right here. But yeah, overall like the stuff between them on the show, it served its purpose. I mean, yeah, the key of this wasn't really meant to actually like be like a true like show stealing match. It was really more about just like enhancing their storyline, and yeah, and this was probably the like the biggest point or like the hottest part of this entire event. So yeah, so this is probably the stuff that I think that a lot of people are probably going to say is like the most enjoyable factor of this show. Yeah, so yeah, so overall, I guess like for as disappointing as the show is, like it does at least have like this stuff as like a shining start to it. So yeah, so as far as like the match with Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler, I guess I would give that like 2.5 stars. Yeah. All right. Then next up, then we had Marty Jannetty versus Ludvig Borga. And yeah, there was nothing really special about this match. I mean, this really wasn't that good. Plus, it was only like 5 minutes. So yeah, so there's not really anything really for me to talk about with this match. But yeah, as far as how Ludvig Borga goes, I mean, uh, yeah, I mean, it's just whatever happened to Ludvig Borga. Like I remember, like he just like came into the WWF like in 1993. It was kind of like being like like displayed as kind of like one of those like big guys that kind of like seemed like an unstoppable force of nature. He just seemed like really this like big powerful guy. I remember they really were trying to like really make him a big deal. Like he Ludwig Borga actually did like defeat Tatanka, ending like his long undefeated streak. So yeah, they really did kind of try to really make Ludwig Borga seem like the big deal, but just nothing really came out of it, and really didn't even stick around for that long. So yeah, but there was could have probably been like some potential for Ludwig Borga if he would have stuck around. But yes, due to like just various reasons, that didn't happen. But yeah, this match really wasn't anything. I mean, it was only like 5 minutes, and it was basically just a squash match with Ludwig Borga, really just, uh, really just taking down Marty Jannetty and just making easy work of him. So yeah, so this really was just more to really just like display Ludwig Borga as just a big monster. So yeah, so not really anything to talk about with this match. So I would give that like half a star. Well, not half a star and a half. Then next up, then we had next up, then we had Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez in a rest in peace match. Now I'll talk about like the rest in peace match stipulation after I talk about the actual match. Yeah, so yeah, so I know that like their WrestleMania 9 match really does get a lot of hate, and people really, I've like heard people say that it's like the worst match of WrestleMania history. No, it isn't. Like, don't overreact. Like, there are plenty worse WrestleMania matches than that. Yeah, so yeah, so I really have like defended their WrestleMania 9 match before, like kind of just saying like not that it's good, but it's not really like anywhere as bad as like people really do say it is. Yeah, so the WrestleMania 9 match really wasn't really. I think it gets overhated. But this match, oh man, this was bad. Like, and this was worse than the WrestleMania match. Really just this is the match that really does deserve the hate the WrestleMania 9 match gets. And just, yeah, this match was just awful. Like, seriously, it was just, like, so freaking terrible. Like, not really anything even happened in the match. It was just kind of like how, like, Giant Gonzalez really was, like, uh, uh, really, really trying to beat down the Undertaker, and the Undertaker was battling back. And then eventually, Paul Bear then, uh, came out because, yeah, just like, prior to this event, I think like Paul Bear was like taken out for a period of time, but then here he came back, and then yeah, then he attacked Harvey Whippleman, who was of course at ringside with Giant Gonzalez. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, then when like Giant Gonzalez had Undertaker down, then Paul Bear then just hoisted the urn up, and then yeah, Undertaker then sat up, and then yeah, Undertaker then and then like beat down the Giant Gonzalez, and then eventually then nailed Giant Gonzalez with a flying clothesline from the top turnbuckle, and then yeah, then the Undertaker pinned Giant Gonzalez and won the match. So yeah, the Undertaker won, and then we have like the stipulation. And what is the stipulation of a rest in peace match, you may ask? Like, is it like a casket match where the Undertaker would the Undertaker put Giant Gonzalez in a casket? Does he bury the Giant Gonzalez alive? Does he do anything that the Undertaker's like been known for doing in like his types of matches like that? No. What does the Undertaker do after he wins this match? All he does is put a funeral wreath over the Giant Gonzalez. Like, that's it. Like, you give the match a special name for that. Like, you didn't even need to give it like a name for that. Like that's how you have someone rest in peace. And it's not even like the Giant Gonzalez was just like down and out. It's not like he was just like laying motionless on the canvas. Like, he was still like moving and all this stuff, and he even like got back up after like Undertaker and Paul Bearer left. So why did you even call this a rest in peace match, and why do you only have like Undertaker do that after he wins? So yeah, it's just really, really stupid. Yeah. And then afterwards, then yeah, Giant Gonzalez then just like turned on Harvey Whippleman and like chokeslammed him. So yeah, that's when like Giant Gonzalez left Harvey Whippleman, and I really don't even think that he was around for much longer after this. And so yeah, but at least like this storyline finally came to a close, and yeah, we didn't need to see any more of the Giant Gonzalez after this. So yeah, but yeah, this match was just like so awful, and the stipulation was just useless and stupid. So yeah, so I would give that half a star. And then next up, then we had a six-man tag team match. It was the Smoking Guns and Tatanka versus the Headshrinkers and Bam Bam Bigelow. And this was a surprisingly good match also. Like, yeah, this was the other tag match I was talking about. Like, the match of the night really is a toss-up between the tag title match and this match. But yeah, this match was a pretty good match too. I mean, yeah, it was like surprisingly good. I mean, it's like, I'm sure this match was just expected to just kind of like be just like an average match to really just like serve as kind of just like a buffer match between like the rest in peace match and the main event. But yeah, this match really was actually like surprisingly solid. I mean, yeah, like just all six guys just like were tagged in and out. Like, they all like just like did their thing and just like tagged in their partners and stuff. Like, eventually, like as Tatanka was like gaining control, like Bam Bigelow then just kicked Tatanka in the back of the head and had to stop his momentum. And then as like uh, Bam Bam Bigelow and the Headshrinkers then were like on the turnbuckles to try to like just attempt like headbutt simultaneously. Like, Tatanka dodged like all three of them, and then like after all three of them missed, then Tatanka then was able to roll up Samu and pin him to get the win. So yeah, so Tatanka and the Headshrinkers won. So yeah, so it was a surprisingly good match. Like, I know I really didn't talk much about it, but yeah, there's really not really like a whole lot to really talk about. But yeah, it is like a good match. So yeah, so this is something that, while I don't really recommend this show as a whole, like if you do want to like see something that's kind of like a forgotten classic, like something that's kind of like a shining star of this event, yeah, I would say like give this match a watch. Like, don't watch the whole show, but yeah, watch this match. Like this is actually like a surprisingly good match. Like I said, it's a toss up between like the tag match and this match for what really is the best match of the show. But yeah, this match was overall good, so I would give it like 3.25. And then next up, then we got the main event. Oh my goodness. Then we got the main event for the WWF Championship. Yokozuna defending against Lex Luger. Oh, where the hell do I begin with this? I mean, of course, like everybody knows about the build-up for this match. Like this was just like Yokozuna, like of course, like won the WWF title from Hulk Hogan at King of the Ring, and yeah, and then that's when Hulk Hogan left the company. Yeah, and then yeah, then after Hulk Hogan left, then that's when like they really did try to make like Lex Luger the new top star of the company. Of course, like we had that whole stuff with like the USS Intrepid where Lex Luger turned face and yeah he like body slammed Yokozuna, and then that's when Lex Luger started like the American hero gimmick with like the red, white, and blue trunks and attire and stuff. And yeah, of course, like oh man, all that stuff was just just yeah. I mean, they were really just like trying to shove Lex Luger down on throats, but yeah, it didn't work. Like nobody liked Lex Luger. Like yeah, Lex Luger just really did not have like the charisma or anything to really like make him the next Hulk Hogan. Like it really just like yeah, it didn't work at all. And plus, yeah, that whole Lex Express stuff, like and stuff was just stupid. But yeah, but despite the fact that like that whole stuff, the whole thing was like really stupid, there was still like quite a lot of build up for this match. So you would expect that at least like with all the build up that this match had, there would be like some really big payoff. But it didn't. Just seriously, this match was just so freaking boring. I was just like bored throughout this entire match. Just this was just so boring. Like like I remember like I said before how the match at WrestleMania 10 was really just terrible, and so was this one. This was just like a really awful match too. I mean, I guess like this was slightly better than WrestleMania 10, but it was still awful. It was just so slow and boring, and nothing happened. Like this match is like like the way this match goes down. You can pretty much have it be like as a how Yokozuna is like beating up Lex Luger, then Lex Luger starts to make a comeback, and then he tries to slam Yokozuna, he can't do it, and then Yokozuna goes back on offense. And yeah, it pretty much just like that formula just ends up like, repeating itself over and over throughout this entire match. Just that is pretty much like how it turned out. Like Yokozuna was beating up Lex Luger made a comeback. He couldn't slam Yokozuna, and Yokozuna went back on offense. That's pretty much like the entire formula of this match. Like it just like kept like having that formula over and over and over again through this entire match. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it just was really like boring, and it went on like forever. Like this match was like almost 20 minutes long, and it just got so boring watching the same stuff throughout the entire match. Yeah. At one point, Mr. Fuji ended up throwing a salt bucket at Yokozuna, and as Mr. Fuji distracted the referee, Yokozuna then hit Lex Luger with the salt bucket, and then Lex Luger ended up surviving the leg drop from Yokozuna, and then as Yokozuna then attempted to go for a bonsai drop, he missed that too, and then eventually Lex Luger succeeded in body slamming Yokozuna, then he then just was continuing to beat up Yokozuna, and then he eventually ended up knocking Yokozuna out of the ring, and then Lex Luger ended up attacking Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette, and as all that was going on, then Yokozuna was still out of the ring, and once again, the match ends in a countout. Yeah, Yokozuna gets counted out, and so yeah, and then of course like afterwards, like after Lex Luger won the match by countout, oh, it just made everybody look so freaking stupid. Seriously, like it's a useless countout win, and yet there's a celebration as if Lex Luger actually won the title. Like, how stupid was this? Like, you have Vince McMahon on commentary, like, just making a huge deal out of it. They tried to make it seem like as the crowd was like going crazy for it, which they weren't. And then you had like a bunch of wrestlers coming in the ring to celebrate with Lex Luger. You had like the Steiner brothers, Macho Man, Tatanka in there. Like, they hand Lex Luger the American flag. They hoist Lex Luger up on their shoulders. There's like confetti and red, white, and blue balloons coming down from the ceiling. Like, why? This is seriously. He didn't win the title. This was just a freaking useless countout win. Yokozuna still has the title. Like, it's as if the countout win is just useless. Like, why are you celebrating this? Seriously, it just made everybody look so freaking stupid. Like, seriously, this was just like, I guess this was just a case of like them really trying to really like put Lex Luger over big time. Like, the WWF was really just like so obsessed with doing this, but they just couldn't do it. Like, the fans were not buying into it. Like, this was just like, yeah, this was just dumb and it failed awful. Like, seriously, like they shouldn't have even done this with Lex Luger to begin with. Like I've said before, like I really would have just like had it be like where like a have Yokozuna like win the title from Bret Hart at WrestleMania 9, and then have like Hulk Hogan then go after Yokozuna. Have Hulk Hogan actually win the title from Yokozuna at King of the Ring, and then like have the return match be here at SummerSlam, and have this be the match where Yokozuna actually like wins the title back from Hulk Hogan, and this is have this be when Hulk Hogan left the company. I really would have rather had that happen and like have Hulk Hogan like stay until SummerSlam rather than do it at King of the Ring. So we wouldn't have had to worry about this. We wouldn't have had this Lex Luger stuff at all. Like this was just stupid. And yeah, so yeah, a stupid celebration, a dumb count out win, and just with a boring match. Yeah, this was just like such a fail. So yeah, so I would give that match just 1 star. Just this was just an absolute fail. Yeah. So overall with the show, I would give it probably like I don't know. I guess I would give it like a 4 out of 10. I mean, I know I did like this show did have good matches. Like I said, like the tag title match and the 6-man tag were like shining stars of this event. And the stuff with Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler was probably like the hottest part of the show as far as like storylines go. So yeah, so it did have like that kind of stuff. But yeah, just with the 3 main matches of the show, with the WWF title, Undertaker, Giant Gonzalez, and the Intercontinental title match, all just like being like such disappointments and just stupid stipulations and stupid endings. Yeah, it really does affect this show pretty badly. So yeah, so I give this show like a 4 out of 10. So yeah, this was like just probably the most disappointing SummerSlam of all time, and one of the most disappointing wrestling shows in general. So yeah, like I said, I just really do not recommend this show. But like I said, if you do want to just like see something like Shining Stars, I guess you can check out like the tag title match and the 6-man tag. But just yeah, and I guess the stuff with like the Bret Hart, Jerry Lawler, Doink stuff. Yeah, I guess like you'll get some enjoyment out of that too. But just yeah, considering the fact that the 3 main matches of the show really just failed to deliver and just were such disappointments, yeah, I can't recommend the show as a whole. Just such a disappointment. Alright, so I guess that's all I really have to say about it. Alright, so this does it for my review of SummerSlam 1993. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and maybe like tomorrow or on Sunday, I'll make a video talking about like my thoughts on SummerSlam tomorrow. Alright, so yeah, stay tuned for my thoughts on this year's SummerSlam coming sometime this weekend. Alright, but yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this review, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.